Good morning and welcome to AARP Kentucky. I'm Scott Wagner. I'm the Associate State Director for Communications, and we have a very special guest joining us this morning, the Reverend Dr. James Thurman. He's an AARP volunteer, but he's also the NAACP Lexington Chapter Chair and also serves as the Shiloh Baptist Church, serves his congregation. So this morning, we thought it was appropriate to have Reverend Thurman join us for a conversation about Juneteenth. And let me go to you, Reverend Thurman, and welcome you back. It's always great to talk with you. So, Reverend, tell us, why, in your opinion, why is Juneteenth an important date? And tell us a little bit more about what Juneteenth is.
Juneteenth is an extremely important piece of American history. It's as important as the Declaration of Independence. We celebrate July the 4th as Independence Day. Juneteenth is actually the day that the slavery was abolished in the United States of America. A lot of people think it took effect once the Emancipation Proclamation was put into effect, but that's far from the truth. So it's an extremely important day in American history.
Yes. Jim, the question was, why do you think Juneteenth is such an important date to become a federal holiday?
Oh, gosh. It's once this nation declared itself free from British rule and signed the Declaration of Independence, and now they established that as a national holiday of independence. But unfortunately, slavery was still in effect in this nation. So in essence, it was not free for African Americans. So consequently, the day that we were actually set free is just as important as the day that this nation declared its independence from a foreign government. So to me, they go hand in hand. The celebration of the complete ending of slavery and freedom for a group of people is just as important as the celebration of this nation from a foreign government. So Juneteenth is an extremely important day for African Americans because that was the day that slavery was ended. A lot of people don't realize that Juneteenth, we call it Juneteenth because it's a combination of June and the 19th, when in 1865, General Gordon Granger rode into Galveston, Texas, and alerted the people of Texas that the Civil War had ended and the slaves were freed. But the Emancipation Proclamation was in 1862. I believe it was around September of 1862. I don't hold me to that specific date, but some 2.5 years later, the word did not get to Texas because it was the farthest most state that had seceded from the Union and declared itself a part of the Confederacy. So it was some 2.5 years later that the news reached Galveston, Texas. So, and it happened to be on June the 19th, 1865. So that's a pretty important date for us.
Jim, it's in respect to today's technology, obviously, but that was 2 years between when President Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation and that news arriving in Texas. Talk a little bit about how that deferment happened, if you can.
Sure.
How could that possibly happen?
Well, they didn't have social media and radio and television in those days, even though in 1862 he issued the Emancipation Proclamation. The states that were the farthest out from the South as a whole was Texas. It was further out than in any of the other states, and the actual implementation of the Emancipation Proclamation was actually enforced as Union troops into those states. And Texas being the farthest state, it was some 2.5 years later that the word got to Texas. And Texas had been building up a large slave population during the Confederacy. A lot of people don't realize that the Emancipation Proclamation only freed the slaves in the states that had seceded from the Union. States like Kentucky and Delaware, even though the Emancipation Proclamation freed those states, slavery was still legal in those states because Kentucky and Delaware, even though they had sympathizers and had people from those states to join the Confederacy, the states themselves did not succeed. So therefore, slavery was still legal in Kentucky and Delaware. And as the Union troops advanced through the states, again, Texas was the last Confederate state. So the word took 2.5 years to get there to Texas.
So, Jim, today the federal holiday was declared yesterday.
Correct.
By President Biden. What's your reaction to that? What does that mean for you? What does that mean for the nation? Tell us what you think about that.
I have mixed emotions about it. I'm glad it was finally recognized because it's going to put it out on the forefront. Juneteenth had kind of gotten lost in the shuffle of our struggle for civil rights in the past few years, going all the way back to the 60s. The struggle has been so much in the forefront. The civil rights legislation, voting rights legislation, all of the Black Lives Matter movement, all of the other struggles that we as African Americans have had, that nationally it had kind of gone unnoticed, and this is bringing it back to the forefront. It's good from my perspective that the nation has finally refocused on it because it's a part of American history that needs to be told. When kids ask, well, what is Juneteenth? What does that mean? There's an opportunity to express the history behind that date. So it's very important. It's going to move this country forward, I believe.
So AARP is one of the many organizations that are observing that as a national holiday. Tell us a little bit more. How do you see Lexington? Because I know that Mayor Gorton has declared it as a holiday in Lexington. Just tell us a little bit more about how are you going to move forward now today, and especially, over the weekend, I know there's a lot of celebrations. Tell us a little bit more about what is coming in Lexington.
Well, tomorrow we will continue the historic celebration of it. It just so happens it coincides with Father's Day. So we're having a Juneteenth Father's Day celebration here in Lexington, Fayette County. What we will be doing is celebrating with a breakfast, a prayer breakfast at First African. Then we're going to march down the street to Douglas Park, where we will hold the Father's Day celebration and the Juneteenth celebration. It's a huge event here in Fayette County, so I will be part of that. I'll be celebrating with the other clergy here in Fayette County at First African, and then we'll be marching down the street to join with the rest of our families and the community at the Father's Day celebration down in Douglas Park.
And Jim, tell us a little bit. Tell us, a little bit about the history of Frederick Douglass Park, Lexington.
Well, we all know. Well, we should know anyway of who Frederick Douglass is. If not, I'll challenge you to go to Wikipedia or to wherever you get your information on the internet. But Douglas Park is a historical park here in Fayette County. We used to have our dirt bowls there, the 3-on-3 basketball tournaments. Is historically an African-American park, right, in the city here in Fayette County. It was one of the parks back during the Jim Crow area where we, as the people could congregate. It has a lot of history behind it. It's one of the 2 or 3 parks that African Americans we deem as our park. There are all kind of events going there all summer long. Probably the most notable would have been the Dirt Bowl that we used to hold there, because we had some big name people that would play there. Some people that went on to national prominence. So it's a real historic part right there in the city of Lexington.
And my read on that was a donation. The park was donated to the city in 1916 by a prominent African-American grocer who sold the park 25 acres to the city of Louisville, specifically to establish the first African-American park in the Bluegrass.
Well, that was a little bit before my time, but that sounds pretty much correct.
Okay, so just to hit it again for folks in Lexington, the Father's Day family celebration is Saturday, June 19th, and it begins at 9 a.m. with the men's prayer breakfast on the lawn. And there are 2 pastors, Rodney McFarland, First Baptist Church, Bracktown, and the Reverend Steve Pearson, lead pastor at the Church of the Savior. And then a lot of other activities coming as well. The Father Family Community March. They are giving away a free T-shirt for folks that complete the march, and everyone's welcome. And the family celebration begins at 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. And so you will be there in the park as well, I presume.
Yes.
Forgot to ask. So this Town Road, right, in Lexington, the park is located on.
Oh, it's on Georgetown Street. Yes.
Georgetown Street in
Yes.
downtown Lexington. Right. So you will be there.
Rain or shine.
Oh,
As
yeah.
a matter of fact, they have prepared a tent for me and a table.
So folks should look for the Reverend Thurman in the park on Saturday in the tent. Reverend, we appreciate all that you do in the community and all that you help you give us with veterans and with AARP and all that we do. So to kind of close this up, is there anything else that you wanted to add about Juneteenth and why this is such an important date?
Sure. Once again, to reiterate, it was the actual ending of slavery in this nation. It was called by several names: National Independence Day, Jubilee Day, Black Independence Day, Emancipation Day, and in 1979 we started the prayer breakfast component to it. It's extremely important because I think it's going to bring about conversation in this nation about race. Certainly, it's going to be an integral part of that when people start asking, "What is Juneteenth?" And then that's going to force them to look back in the history books, maybe even add this to the history books, because this is certainly not part of the mainstream history of this nation. And it's going to force people to take a hard look at the racism and the real history of race in this nation. So I'm hopeful. Everybody says Independence Day, July the 14th, and certain images pop up in their mind. I'm hoping that the mention of Juneteenth conjures up those same kinds of images and memories where someone has really understood what it represents.
Thank you. We appreciate all that you do, as well as your service in the United States Army. That's an important contribution. And today, we have an all-volunteer Army, and the United States Army just celebrated its 246th birthday this past Monday. But Reverend, we want to thank you. We're going to close out today, and there's I think a terrific message that we're going to show from the director of the Smithsonian's National Museum of African American History and Culture, Kevin Young. So we're going to show that little clip, but we thank you all for watching, and there's always the opportunity to learn more about AARP and the work we do at AARP.org/near you. And of course, if you have any veterans in the family, we have a special website dedicated to our veterans, AARP.org/veterans. So, well, Reverend, I tell you what, stay tuned. I'm going to roll this video by Mr. Young, and we will see you soon. And I want to thank everybody for joining us, and stay tuned. Let's see if we can all right. So, Jim, good talking with you, and stand by.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Kevin Young, and I'm the Andrew W. Mellon Director of the National Museum of African American History and Culture. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you to the museum's virtual program, Juneteenth, Celebration of Resilience. June 19th, or Juneteenth, marks the date in 1865 when enslaved communities in Texas learned the Civil War had ended and that they were free from slavery, nearly 2.5 years after President Abraham Lincoln had issued the Emancipation Proclamation. The lesson of Juneteenth is celebration and expectation of freedom deferred but found. In the last century and a half since, Juneteenth has become a time to gather with family and community, to honor the present, to reflect on the past, and to look to the future through music, storytelling, and great food. To honor the occasion, we invite you to watch our virtual programs that will examine the historic and current relevance of Juneteenth, reveal hidden family history, discover the resilience of our people through storytelling, explore groundbreaking music, and make you hungry for barbecue. Appreciate its African American roots. Be sure to visit the webpage for more information, activities for all ages, and more recipes for your Juneteenth table. Thank you for inviting the museum into your home for a celebration of history, family, food, and freedom. Happy Juneteenth.
All right, Jim. I want to thank you again for your time today. And
Thank you.
We appreciate all that you do. But hey, so tomorrow again, folks, that's a celebration in the park. Reverend Thurman will be there on the 19th at Douglas Park in Lexington. So we will close out this broadcast with big thanks. Is there anything else, Reverend, that we need to mention?
Not at all. I think we said it all.
All right. Well, all right. Well, thank you, sir. And thank you, everybody, for watching. Stay in touch, like our page, and share this with your friends. Thank you for joining us. Take care.